Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jenny. I'm a tropical Western astrologer. We're going to look at the whole sign chart system in your personal birth chart when it comes to this full moon in Cancer that's happening on January 13th at 23 degrees of Cancer. We're also going to take a look at the fires in Los Angeles. How is the astrology connected to this full moon? What does the astrology say about the fires? We're going to take a look at all of those things, and we're also going to look at each and every individual house placement from the first house all the way to the 12th so that you can learn to embrace this full moon energy and find out where it falls in your personal birth chart. But first, for a word. This Cancer full moon that's happening on Monday, January 13th, is at 23 degrees of Cancer. I don't love it. If for those of you that have watched my videos, listened to my podcast in the past, you know I'm a straight shooter. You know that I don't do fear-based things, but I tell it like it is. I don't love this full moon. Even though it's in Cancer, Cancer rules the moon. So it belongs there. This is where the moon feels most comfortable. This is the moon's number one home. It's in Cancer, and I've got to say the astrology is intense. What a way to start out the new year with this. This is the first full moon of the year, and I don't love it. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to break it down and let you know why. And I think that these fires in Los Angeles that are just burning down the city, it is shocking to see the video coverage. I'm not there, so I don't see it with my own two eyes, but I'm seeing videos come up on my feed, and it looks apocalyptic what they're experiencing in Los Angeles. And I have to say, the astrology, I can see it in the astrology. And in my last video, I talked about the astrology for 2025. And I broke it down into some big lessons that we're all being forced really to deal with from the cosmos. And one of the lessons, one of the great lessons that I talked about in that last video is that 0 degree of Aries mark. That's where the nodes are right now. The North Node is at 0 degrees of Aries as we speak. And that's called an anaretic degree. Whenever anything, a planet or a point like the node is at the 0 degree mark or the 29 degree mark. Those are the two anaretic degrees. And you feel it. You feel it when it's at the end or at the beginning. And for the nodes, they go in reverse. Everything else, the planets go one way, the nodes go another. And so it's already been at the 29 degree mark of Aries when they first got into the North Node and South Node axis. And it's been working through for 18 months. The nodes are always an 18-month cycle. This is the end of the 18-month cycle with the North Node being in Aries, and it's at 0 degrees. I have to say that the fire started with a moon in Aries. Mars and Pluto are opposite each other in the sky as we speak, and when these fires started. Mars is at 27 degrees right now, retrograde. So whenever there's a planet or a point at 23 degrees and over, which is this full moon we're experiencing on Monday, anything 23 degrees and over is considered out of bounds. So basically that means the planet, whatever the point is, whatever the planet is, it's a wild card. It doesn't know how to act when it goes over the 23 degree mark. So look at your natal birth chart. Do you have any planets and points at 23 and above? Because it's that out of bounds energy. So Mars is 27 degrees retrograde in the skies as I record this, as Los Angeles is still burning down. And it's in that out of bounds energy, and it is opposite Pluto. We've talked about Pluto on this channel quite a bit because Pluto moved into Aquarius once and for all. And I was talking about, in as gently as I could possibly say, that Pluto is that transformational energy. And yes, it does kill things off. It literally is that phoenix rising from the ashes energy. That's what Pluto is. And with Mars, these are the two great benefics in the heavens. We've got Mars and Pluto in opposition to each other. And that opposition mark, and for those of us that have oppositions in our natal birth chart, we know this energy well too. And it's that constant back and forth, having to deal with it, not wanting to deal with it, but having to deal with it, and perhaps coming at odds. That's what an opposition in a natal birth chart feels like, and that's what we're experiencing in the skies right now with Mars and Pluto, the two great malefics. Did I say benefics earlier? Sorry, I meant the malefics. Um, Again, we love Mars, we love Pluto, but they teach us lessons. And they come in hot and they come in with force. And so they're opposing each other in the skies right now. And again, those fires started at the 0 degree Aries mark, went through Aries, and the North Node is at that 0 degree Aries mark. I feel like this is what I was talking about in that last video about the astrology of 2025. We need to take an honest look at that 0 degree Aries mark. That is always, it always hits when the sun goes to 0 degrees. So those people born March 21st, March 21st usually. That is the spring equinox. It's the start of a new season. That truly is the new astrological new year. That is when you make New Year's resolutions because it is the new year in astrology. And I always advise my clients to do that, but it is fresh new start. It is, and it can be forced and fierce because Aries is ruled by Mars, the great malefic, along with Pluto being the other great malefic. This is encouraging all of us to be honest about what is going on in our lives that is opposing our viewpoints when we bring this back to our own personal lives. Not so much as what's going on in the world right now, but if you bring it back to your personal life right now, what are you at odds with? Who are you fighting with? What are you avoiding right now? La la la, I'm not listening. I'm not going to deal with that. It's that kind of energy that I've been encouraging on these podcasts time and time again to take an honest look at. And now we're seeing it. We're seeing what this 0 degree Aries mark is all about. And it can be really life-changing, can't it? My heart goes out to everyone that lives down there. And there's questions about, I'm seeing headlines about how some of the insurance companies in the last few weeks have discontinued the insurance policies for fire, and it's shocking. And I can't even imagine what that feels like. Although I can imagine because I live in Western Canada, and every single summer we have to brace ourselves here in Western Canada because our forests are always on fire in the summer. My family cabin was saved 2 years ago, and I don't know why our family cabin was. All I have to say is our ancestors built it. They built that cabin a long, long time ago, and they left us. They transitioned into the non-physical many years ago, and I think that it was them protecting it. They built it, they protected it, but and so many of the cabins like right around ours burnt down. So I've had a taste of bracing yourself, watching, knowing that the fire is right there, evacuating, of course, but I've had a taste of it hitting very close to home, and it is scary. It is very scary. So my heart goes out to all of you. But again, on a personal level, I do encourage you to go back and watch the video that I put out for the astrology of 2025 that encourages all of us to take an honest look at what's going on in our personal lives because the year of 2025 is going to it's going to change everybody's lives. It is the number nine. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. Nine's always the end of the road. It's the end phase. And there is so much ending this year. And this is just the beginning of January. And look at what's already happening on a world scale. I'm sure many of us are feeling it. In my own personal life, I have friends and family that have been in car accidents since January hit. There's so much going on with that Mars-Pluto opposition. And I encourage my clients and friends and family to not get into fights with people. People are, this is boiling energy. This is fiery energy with the Mars and Pluto in opposition. This is, you could say the wrong thing and ruin relationships and ruin your lives kind of energy. So I'm always encouraging people, just let everybody else around you, if they're having the knee-jerk reactions, just let them and turn the other cheek. It's not the time to get into fights with people and to watch your triggers. And if you are triggered, and we're all going to be triggered with this energy, when we're triggered, to take an honest look. I've written the book on working with our triggers, and it's all about shadow work. This is available on Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description. Never before has there been a more important time to look at our shadows, get honest about our triggers, because this is very triggering energy for everybody. So again, my hearts go out to you if you're in the Los Angeles area. And that was the astrology of the fires that I see. And so now let's switch gears, but not really. It's all related. This 23-degree Cancer full moon that's happening on Monday, January 13th, that's an out of bounds full moon. It's because you are out of bounds when you are 23 degrees and above. And again, when anything is out of bounds, whether it's a luminary, a planet, an angle. When something is over 23 degrees in your natal birth chart, it's saying that the planet, the angle, the point, it doesn't know how to act. So it's a wild card. It is a wild card energy, this full moon. Let's talk about the astrology of this full moon as well. Out of bounds at 23 degrees. It's opposite the sun, which it always is. Always a moon and a sun are in opposition. So I was born under a full moon, so I know opposition energy very well. This is in my natal birth chart. For those of you born on a full moon or with any oppositions in your birth chart, you know opposing energy well. You know that you've had so many times of triggers, fights, and these challenges that we've faced in our lives have taught us so much about ourselves, as well as who we truly are and who we want to show up as and who we want to be, how to become a better version. When you have a chart full of blue lines and trines and everything's so easy, well, maybe you had a very blessed life, and good for you. But for most of the birth charts I read for my clients, it's squares and oppositions everywhere. And that's what we need in order to make the change. We won't make changes if we aren't faced with challenges. And that opposition energy is most certainly it's a challenging thing to have in your natal birth chart. I know it well. Again, I was born on a full moon, and that's what a full moon always is. It's when the sun and the moon are in complete opposition of each other in the skies. So this full moon is at 23 degrees of Cancer, so it's out of bounds. This full moon is opposite the sun, and Pluto is right next to the sun. So, so yes, this full moon is opposite Pluto, the great malefic. It is also conjunct Mars because the moon is right next to Mars. So the sun and the moon are opposing, and Mars and Pluto are opposing. And the full moon is out of bounds at 23 degrees. This is wild card energy. We all know that on a full moon, the hospitals are full, babies are born, crazy things happen. We all know this. You can ask any elementary school teacher, you can ask any nurse at the hospital that this is their busiest time of the month when there's a full moon. Okay, so this is a wild card full moon. Even though the moon loves being in Cancer, this is where it's at home, right? It's so beautiful when the moon, whether it's a new moon or a full moon in Cancer. And if you have a Cancer moon in your natal birth chart, you are a highly intuitive person. You understand that divine feminine energy. This is gonna be a rocky one, and I always say that a full moon illuminates what has or has not manifested in your life since the 6 months ago at the new moon in Cancer. So if you write in a moon journal, and I have created one for you, this year I finally wrote the new moon, full moon, eclipse, the moon journal that I always wanted. I've always wanted a journal like this to track it, to write it, to know what the actual degree of the moon is, to know when you should write your intentions, when you should sit back and observe. I always wanted this moon, and I also wrote in there what it's like to have a Cancer moon. I go through all 12 zodiac signs, what it's like to have a moon in the first house or in Aries, for example. So I've added all my astrology tricks into my 2025 moon journal. So the link, you can get it on as an ebook. You can get it. And soon enough, it will be available on Amazon. So if you'd like to wait, you'd rather have it in your hands like this and to be able to write in it, then I will provide that link once it's available on Amazon, which should be soon. But it goes through every single moon, and I highly recommend it. Again, this is the moon journal I always wanted, so I finally wrote it. And so if you do write a moon journal, look back to 6 months ago. So July, look back, what summer of 2024. What were your intentions? Because at a new moon, as I advise you in my new moon journal book, that you write intentions at the new moon. And then 6 months later, when the moon is full in that same sign, then you look at what has or has not manifested in your life. When you look at what was happening in the world 6 months ago, well, it was the attempt, in fact, to take out the now President of the United States. That happened in July. So 6 months later, Los Angeles is burning down. We always look at what is La Luna illuminating? What is La Luna illuminating? You always take an honest look. Even if you don't like what you see, you take an honest look. So since 6 months, that's what's happening in this world. Perhaps there will be more. I'm recording this before the actual full moon on the 13th. Let's look at what is actually manifesting out there in the world, and also what's happening in your own world. And are you taking my strong, strong advice to do the shadow work, to look at the triggers? This book gives you so many great brain hacks. It talks about why we get addicted to our triggers. We get into the science of it, and then we get into the astrology of it. And I give you journal prompts along the way. It's full of amazing information and tricks of the trade. And we're always working on our triggers, all of us, by the way. So it's so important to be the observer in your life, to be like, okay, wait, oh, that's a trigger. Okay, take a step back, sleep on it if you have to, take a nap. Sometimes you need to take a nap, and then you start to do the shadow work. Then you go into the energy of the trigger, as opposed to la la la, I'm not listening. And for those people, and I get it, and I've done it, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but for those people who are absolutely refusing to take a look at those knee-jerk reactions and those triggers and those repeated patterns, the things that keep happening, maybe it's different faces, different spaces, but the same old thing. If it's happening in your life over and over again, that is a trigger, and that's something that you're not willing to give an honest look at. And I can see it written all over the astrology birth charts that this year, 2025, is the year to finally do the shadow work, to finally get honest about the triggers, to finally stop the programming, and to rewire. This book teaches you to rewire the brain, and it takes focus. It's work. It does take work. It's not something that you pray on and then a miracle happens. And I'm not saying that never happens, but I'm saying for most people, we have to do the work. We have to focus. We have to be the observer of our lives, and we have to focus to rewire our brain so that we can reprogram, because we're all programmed. By the time you're 7 years old, you're full of programs. And then if you're not careful, your entire adult life is built on those programs that happened when you were a child. So it's just the way that it works. And it's the way it's our matrix system, if you will. So how do you break the matrix? And this year, 2025, is encouraging all of us to break out of the matrix, the false matrix, to reprogram because the world is burning up. The world is changing, things are ending, cycles are ending. And this full moon is going to illuminate a lot of it for a lot of people. Let's take an honest look at the house placement of where Cancer falls in your natal birth chart so that you can see what La Luna is illuminating for you, what has manifested or has not. What is something that you can say, wow, I did it. It all came to fruition as I was hoping and planning. And now I know I'm going to close that door. That door is being closed, and a new cycle is going to begin. On the other hand, take an honest look and say, oh, yeah, I really was hoping that by now, 6 months ago, I was really hoping by now this would have happened in this area of my life. And well, it didn't. I'm going to be honest, it didn't. So, what do I need to stop doing? What cycle needs to end so that I can walk through that new door? That's what La Luna's always doing at a full moon. And I really walk you through that in my new book. Again, you can get it as an ebook now, or if you wait just a little bit and you want it in written form, you can have it tangibly in your own hands to write into. It will be on Amazon soon. I'll provide that link soon. It should be there by the time you watch this video. Okay, let's go through the houses of where Cancer falls in your natal birth chart so that you know what La Luna is illuminating for you. Does Cancer fall in your first house? That means you are a Cancer rising. You're a very intuitive person. Your whole life, La Luna has been guiding you. So if you have a full moon in your first house, it is illuminating what has or has not shown up in your entire life. The first house rules the whole house. It is your identity. It's like your cosmic business card. This is who I am. This is the way people see you. This is the way you walk about. It's also, you can completely change your body, right? Like, so for instance, again, it's the full moon illuminating all the things that we can't normally see in the dark. It's so bright in the dark crevices of the corners that we don't normally see, or we just refuse to look at, or we just literally didn't know. Okay. We just didn't know that that was happening. And so, is the full moon illuminating something that you like to see or not to see when it comes to your whole life? A lot of times it has to do with the way that you look when it's in your first house. So maybe you're realizing, oh my God, I have gained a lot of weight and I don't like what has manifested in my life. I can't fit into any of my clothes. I can't afford to buy new clothes. And frankly, it's not healthy. And so maybe, just maybe, that's happening. That often happens when you have a transit going through your first house. It has something to do with weight. Could be to do with the way that you look. And maybe it's, something as, mundane as like, I hate my hair this long. I want to cut my hair. It can be like a complete change. I'm going to get that tattoo. Or, you got the tattoo years ago and you're like, I hate this tattoo now. It has to do with the body, the way you look, and it's also your identity. And it can hit any area of your life because it is your first house. It often has to do with the way that you look or what you want to change overall. So when it comes to the first house, what is La Luna illuminating? Something that you have done. Maybe on the other hand, you have lost the weight. You have done it. Maybe you started a really healthy routine 6 months ago in the summer in July. You wrote down your new moon intentions and you said, by the full moon in Cancer in January, I'm going to have lost this amount of weight. I'm going to be able to fit into my jeans. So maybe the full moon is illuminating how far you've come. Now you know you've done it. You know what to do. You can close that chapter you're able to go forward into another chapter. And on the other hand, the Luna might be illuminating, wow, you can't fit into any of your clothes. You're not healthy. This, I'm illuminating this for you. You haven't been able to look at it. You're not looking at it. And so now you need to close. You need to stop doing all those things that you're doing or you're not doing. And you need to enter a new cycle. So that's what La Luna does when she moves through your first house. So let us know, is this resonating for you? Are you getting a new tattoo or covering up the old tattoo and getting rid of it, or maybe a complete life change has happened to you when it's in your first house? I'm open to that as well. It's not just about your looks, it's not just about your appearance. It could affect any area of your life when it's going through your first house. Okay, is Cancer ruling your second house? Okay, so La Luna is up there in the skies and it is so bright and it is illuminating all the things in the dark that you can't see normally or you're refusing to look at or you just didn't know it was happening. Okay, so either you're loving the manifested news that La Luna is bringing in your second house or not. So if you love it, it has to do with your self-worth or your what the money that you're bringing in, your possessions, and it's what you're doing. It's not money you're making from your husband or from an inheritance or something like this. It's like the money you're making now, you're loving it. La Luna is illuminating. Look, you do have that money in your bank. Here, boom, you're getting this payout, you're getting this raise. Or, yeah, you did save all that money. So is La Luna illuminating something to do with your money? Or is La Luna illuminating something to do with you've really worked on your self-worth? You know, you realized back in July, the summer, you wrote in your new moon journal and you said, you know what, my self-worth, I didn't even realize it, but it's low. I want to work on my worthiness. I am worthy of everything and of love and respect. And you started doing the affirmations and you worked on your worthiness. So is maybe the full moon illuminating how far you've come in your worthiness and you now feel it and you can see it. The second house is all about worthiness when it comes to tangible things like money, like possessions, but also everything to do with your self-worth. Are you loving what you're seeing from the illumination of 6 months ago? On the other hand, is La Luna illuminating what you maybe need to work on? Maybe you're broke. Maybe, maybe the full moon is illuminating just how in debt you are, or you need to talk to that boss about that raise, or you need to get a job. You need to start making some money. Or maybe the full moon is illuminating, you know what, you've got some self-worth issues and you need to work on your worthiness. You are worthy of anything and everything and all of it. And so it's one or the other. What is the full moon that's hitting your second house illuminating for you? Do you love what you see? And you're able to say, hey, thanks so much. I did it. Yay, me. I got the raise. My money situation's good. My self-worth is great. Okay, closing that door. Fantastic. I did it. 6 months ago, moon journal, did it. Boom. Or on the other hand, are you like, oh dear, I didn't do the moon journaling. Oh no. Okay, it's time for me to take an honest look at my worthiness, my low self-worth. Maybe it's time to honestly look at that. Maybe it's time to start making some more money. So let us know, is that resonating for you? Does Cancer hit your second house? Is Cancer in your third house? I always say the third house is the junk drawer in astrology. It's so many things. If it were one thing, it's the communication style. So the way you speak, the way you write, but it's like the internet. It's like your writing projects. It's your speaking projects. It's also your elementary school days. It's your school time friends. It's your cousins. It's your siblings. It's your, it's your car. It's your scooter. It's your bike. It's your transportation, it's your neighbors in your neighborhood. It's, your short distance travel trips. It's your, 2 hour away romantic getaway. It's so many things. So all those things I just said. And yes, of course, you can Google what does the third house in astrology stand for? And you're going to see the long list of what it is. But again, if you had to make me say one thing that it is, it's the communication style. So, what is the full moon illuminating for you? regarding all those things I said. So I'll just give some examples because there's so many you could choose from. But if you're loving what you see from the illumination of the full moon in the dark, normally you can't see what's in the dark, so the full moon illuminates. This is how far you've come in 6 months, since 6 months ago. So in July. If you were writing in that moon journal, again, I give you help on that. You can get my moon journal for that. You're writing in that moon journal in July on the new moon in Cancer, and you realize, like, okay, it's hitting my third house. I want a new car. In 6 months' time, I need that car. So, do you have a new car? Is La Luna illuminating? You did it. Look at this. You knew you needed to get your resources together, and we helped you, and you got that new car. That's just one example. If Cancer is in your third house, and you're getting a manifestation alert. The full moon is illuminating what has shown up since 6 months ago. And maybe for you, it's super, super positive. Like you got the new car, you moved into the new neighborhood, you worked on your communication style, you talked to your estranged cousin, da 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 da. It's all those things I just said. Or is the full moon illuminating what needs to be worked on because you didn't reach out to that cousin, that it's been bugging you for so long? You're estranged from that cousin and you've just refused to send that email. Or your car has broken down now. 6 months ago, it was starting to show you like, oh God, it's like there's a noise. Oh Lord, oh Lord. Now your car has completely kaput. It's stuff like that that the full moon is illuminating for you. Perhaps a fantastic manifestation, and you're like, I did that. It's happened. It's come into my life. I can close the door. I'm going to move to a new cycle. On the other hand, it might be illuminating something for you like, holy, you need to stop being so stubborn. You need to send that email off to your cousin. You need to move out of this neighborhood. This neighborhood is like killing you. You know, maybe your house burnt down in Los Angeles and your neighborhood is gone. And maybe, just maybe you wanted to move and you didn't move or something. And La Luna is now saying, well, we have moved you. You have officially moved from the Pacific Palisades. It's stuff like that. The full moon illuminates what has come in, what needs to end, what is closing, and the new chapter. So that was the third house. Is Cancer in your fourth house? Well, this is where it loves to be. This is the fourth house. So that means you're an Aries rising. Cancer loves being in the fourth house. It rules the fourth house. So what is the full moon illuminating for you that has changed or needs to change? There needs to be a closure. There needs to be an ending, or something has come to fruition. You can now move on. So fourth house stuff, let's talk about it. It's your mother. It's your mother wounds, your lineage. It's also all things house, home, property. So full moon's up there, illuminating what you can't normally see in the dark, what you're refusing. La la la, I won't look at it, I won't see it. The full moon illuminates it. Whatever has shown up or what needs to end at the time of a full moon. So the full moon illuminates the darkness that we can't normally see. And so when it comes to those fourth house things, what's being illuminated for you? Maybe you're going to buy a new house right near this full moon, like right on the Monday or the Tuesday, right? It's like, boom, this perfect house has come up. You're getting this house. You're moving into the new apartment, you know? Maybe something fantastic has shown up that way. Maybe your mom has come for a visit and you haven't seen her for a long, long time, and here she shows up. Maybe you are doing that lineage thing. What's it called? 23andMe, is that what it's called? And you find out you have a distant, or you were adopted at birth and you find out where your birth mother lives, and it's just fantastic. Like something like this. La Luna is illuminating something to do with that. And now it's here tangibly in your life. Now you can move on. Maybe, just maybe, La Luna is illuminating stuff that you're not dealing with in your fourth house. So you're estranged from your mother, maybe. You're not dealing with your mother wounds. You're refusing to be the woman in your lineage that stops that cycle. It ends with us, if you will. Maybe the Luna is illuminating that maybe your house is burnt down and you live in the Pacific Palisades and your house is no longer there. So yes, you do need to move. Maybe maybe you just can't afford your mortgage payments and you now need to be honest and you need to move into a new property. It's things like this. The Luna always illuminates what's ending, what cycle has ended, what needs to stop in your own heart and soul so that you can move on to the next level. So you will know, let us know what resonates for you if Cancer rules your fourth. Okay, does Cancer rule your fifth house? This is the funnest house. This is the creative house, like art projects. This rules actors and actresses and rock stars. This rules sports and fun and creative projects. And a creative project is, of course, a thing like a painting. Of course it is. But a creative project is also like writing a book. It's also creating an online program, creating something, creating anything. So it's also children. So babies, maybe what is La Luna illuminating for you? Maybe you're giving birth to a baby. Maybe you are literally birthing a baby. And La Luna is saying, here she is, isn't she beautiful? Could be that. It could be, here's your child. Your child is got the scholarship. Your child is doing wonderful. Something wonderful happens for your child. Okay. It could be a new project or a project that has you've been working on and now it's over. La Luna illuminates that. What was going on 6 months ago in July? What was your new moon journal? What did you write in your new moon journal that you wanted to do on a creative project or with your children or a new cycle with your kids or a new creative something or something fun? The fifth house is fun and it is extremely creative. So like don't box yourself in and thinking, that's not art. Well, if you're creating something, then it's artistic and it is creative. So maybe you started something 6 months ago and La Luna is illuminating. You did it. Here it is. This is the end of that. Okay, next, and you might be building on more to it, but like that part's over. Or are you being illuminated? Is the full moon illuminating something that you need to stop doing, or there needs to be closure? So, like something with your kids, maybe you're fighting with your kids. Maybe you need to be honest and just say, you know what, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that thing. And we need to maybe get counseling. La Luna will illuminate stuff like that. Or maybe there was a creative project that you tried to start and you didn't, or you need to stop, something to do with creativity. Um, and it's all things fun. And maybe La Luna is illuminating like you have become a fuddy-duddy and you are no longer fun and you're not funny and you take life way too serious and it's time to laugh. And you might get one of those, rude awakenings from the full moon and just realize like the last time you had a good laugh where you were just crying and your stomach hurt the next day, it might be a long, long time ago. And maybe the full moon is saying, it's time to get back to something fun again. So that's fifth house stuff. Does La Luna fall in your sixth house? Okay, so when it's a full moon, the full moon is always illuminating what you can't see in the dark and what you're unwilling to look at. And you're like, la la la, I'm not listening. So perhaps it's something fantastic that the full moon is illuminating that showed up in your sixth house. Or maybe it's something you need to work on and you need to stop doing that thing. But first off, let's look at sixth house stuff. Maybe something great has come in. Sixth house is all about health, your health. And so maybe 6 months ago in July, you wrote in your new moon journal and you said, I want to start being healthy for heaven's sakes. And so you stopped the sugar and the booze and whatever else, and you joined the gym. And so 6 months later, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? And La Luna is saying, you look and feel fantastic now, don't ya? Because you started that health routine and good on ya. So it could be something to do with that. It's also the things that you do daily. So, yes, of course, it's health. The sixth house is health and healing. It is. But the sixth house is also what you do on the daily, your daily routines. And it's super boring. But if you keep at those little tiny, weeny habits, soon enough, it changes your life. It really does. So, like, if you do that 10-minute stretch in the morning and then you do the workout in the afternoon. And it's like you got to keep doing it and you got to keep every single day and you just got to do the celery juice every single day and then you just got to keep no more sugar every single day and it's boring, boring, boring. But soon enough, you realize, wow, I did that and my life is totally different now. And so it's the daily things, not only for your health, but the daily things you do at work. So has your daily routine at work changed? And is La Luna illuminating, wow, so those habits, you started scheduling your day better, or you did your emails only on the Friday so that you didn't, or whatever it is that you started doing on a regular basis. Is La Luna illuminating how much that has affected your life for the better now? Also, sixth house has to do with pets. So maybe you got a pet. Maybe La Luna is giving you a pet now. Because 6 months ago, you're like, I want that dog. I've always wanted to have this little doggy. And you finally get the dog now. Like it's happening right around this full moon. On the other hand, is La Luna illuminating what you normally can't see in the dark or you're refusing to look at? So your health has gotten bad. And the full moon is illuminating that for you. Maybe you've thrown your back out. Maybe you can't fit in any of your clothes anymore. You've gained all the weight. Maybe La Luna is illuminating. It's finally time. It's finally time to quit the thing, to do the thing, get healthy again. Maybe La Luna is illuminating what you need to do at work to be more productive. Maybe the projects have been piling up and you're going to get a rude awakening right around this full moon that you're falling behind and your colleagues have a better system than you do and you're not being productive and you need to make some changes on the daily at work, right? As sixth house could also be something about your pet. So I hate to say it, but maybe your pet is not healthy and you might need to do something about it. But at the end of the day, the full moon always illuminates what has come to fruition since 6 months ago in July, something that you've been working on, or something that you need to stop doing the thing. You need to stop eating all those Dorito chips. It's stuff like that. And La Luna is going to illuminate it for you. Does the full moon rule your seventh house? Okay. So always the full moon illuminates in the dark sky what we can't normally see, all those little corners and crevices. We can't see the things, or maybe we're unwilling to look at it. Maybe we're like, la la la, I'm not listening. But the full moon always illuminates what has come to fruition, what has manifested in your life, especially since 6 months ago when you were diligently writing in your new moon journal, which if you don't have, you can buy mine, link in bio. What were you intending to have come to fruition 6 months later since July? So is La Luna illuminating seventh house things? Seventh house things is your closest relationships. So yes, your spouse, your best friends, your business partner, those people that are the closest in your life. So maybe you wanted a real partner. You were done with the dating apps, did this and that, and you wrote that in your journal and 6 months ago, and you said, you know what, I want a committed life partner, and maybe now he or she is there in your life. There they are. There they are. The full moon saying, you did it. We heard you. You did it. Maybe you wanted a business partner. You were feeling, you needed help and support with your projects. And maybe now you've got that business partner, or he or she is coming into your life soon, very soon. Best friend stuff. Best friend stuff. You were like, I am really craving a soul sister in my life. You might have written that 6 months ago. He or she has shown up now. On the other hand, Luna also illuminates what's in the dark and we're not willing to look at. We won't admit it. We won't do the work when it comes to this area of our life. And so is La Luna illuminating relationship stuff for you if Cancer's in your seventh, right? So you've got to get honest about what's going on in your marriage. You've got to go get the counseling. You've got to have that difficult conversation with your husband. Or, same said about your best friend. Your best friend, you know you need to have the talk. You need to discuss the things. Or your business partner. Oh dear, you need to do the hard talks with the business partner, or your business partner leaves, or your best friend dumps you, or your husband dumps you. You know, that might sound very fear-based, but like that's the kind of stuff that happens at a full moon. When it's your seventh house, that's all relationship stuff. So what's going on for you? Does this resonate? Does Cancer fall in your seventh? Is Cancer in your eighth house? Well, the eighth house is the transformation house. It's the butterfly house, I always say. So you couldn't even go back to being the caterpillar, even if you wanted to, because you are now a butterfly. So it's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. There is no more rock bottom. You have already hit rock bottom. So yeah, don't mean to sound doomsday, but that is eighth house for you. It does seek to transform you if you have Cancer in the or if you have any planets in the eighth house. You are meant to transform your life in this life. So with Cancer in the eighth, let's take a look at using that Cancer energy and that transformation energy, right? What is the full moon illuminating in your eighth house? On the one end, you've completely transformed. You did it. And that could look like, a body. That could be like a weight loss. Yes, you can transform your body. Or maybe it's like mindset. Maybe you have rewired. Maybe you did do the shadow work. Maybe you did reprogram the old programs and you have transformed and you're not doing the knee-jerk reactions anymore. And La Luna is illuminating that for you. Look at what you've done. And again, when you were diligently writing in your new moon journal 6 months ago, and if you don't have one, you can buy mine. So 6 months ago in July, you were writing, these are my new moon intentions. I know that Cancer falls in my eighth. So I'm going to put my new moon intentions regarding eighth house stuff, transformation. Yeah, I want to transform my body, or I want to transform my mindset, or I want to transform my marriage, or I want to transform my career. I want a transformation. And then 6 months later, La Luna is illuminating. You did it, like golf claps. Look at it's happened. I'm illuminating it for you. It happened. It could be that stuff. Also, eighth house is the money that you make from a spouse. So there could be inheritance as well. There could be tax money coming in, a tax return you've been waiting on. It's stuff like that. Here it is. Here it is. It's now in your bank account. Here you go. You've got that body transfer. Here you go. The mindset has happened. You're no longer getting the knee-jerk reaction, and you'll be tested this weekend because the thing that used to trigger you, you now laugh at. You're like, I remember when I used to get triggered, and you walk along your merry way because you've transformed your mindset. Golf claps, right? On the other hand, is the full moon illuminating eighth house stuff that you're not so pleased about. You're getting triggered all over the place. You didn't do the mindset shift. You didn't focus on the triggers. You didn't change the mindset. You didn't make the transformation you were hoping. And you noticed it back in July. You weren't writing in that new moon journal, were you? You noticed it in July 6 months ago, and you didn't step into that transformational energy. And now La Luna is illuminating. You didn't. You didn't. And so it's uncomfortable now. It's uncomfortable. And maybe you are at rock bottom right now as you're listening to my voice and you're looking at me smiling and you're thinking I'm really annoying. So I'm really sorry. Don't mean to come across like that. But eighth house is the transformation house and it can be difficult work. It can be very difficult work. It is there to transform you. So just remember, and this is my mantra for 2025, which I keep saying in all my videos, life is happening for you, not to you. Just keep that in mind if La Luna is illuminating something. And it could have to do with taxes. Maybe you owe a whole bunch in back tax, or maybe you're getting nothing from the relatives' inheritance or something. It could be something along those lines too. Okay, does Cancer rule your ninth? Is that nine? Does Cancer rule your ninth house? So again, La Luna always is up there in that dark sky, illuminating what we can't normally see in the dark, what we're refusing to look at, what we can't, what we didn't even know. We just didn't even know. So La Luna illuminates it. And for you, it's happening in the ninth house. So this is your belief system. Are you religious or are you spiritual? Well, what are you? You know? It is your belief system. It's also foreigners, so foreign people, foreign lands, foreign travel. It's also post-secondary education. So I'll give you some examples here of how this could maybe show up for you if Cancer's in your ninth. Oh, it's also publishing. So if you're publishing a book, okay, so maybe 6 months ago you wrote in your new moon journal and you said to yourself, I'm going to write that book. I'm going to dedicate my time and I'm going to write that book. And so the full moon is illuminating and you've read the book. The book's now available. The book is now available on Amazon for you to do your shadow work. The book is available for you to know your big three and learn the introduction to astrology. Check out my books in the links. So maybe that was you 6 months ago if Cancer's in your ninth. Maybe you were like, I have always wanted to travel to Hawaii. And so you've been saving your pennies over the last 6 months, and you might be listening to this literal podcast in Hawaii, on the beaches of Hawaii right now. It could be like, I want to go back to school. You realized back in July, I've got to get my master's degree or something. It's now happening. You're there, you're doing the master's. It's things like that. The full moon illuminates what has happened since the 6 months ago. The full moon also illuminates what you didn't do. So you've got to learn to be the observer and not, get caught up in the triggers and the shadows. Observe it so that you can move through it. And so maybe La Luna is illuminating, yeah, you didn't write that book, did you? You didn't even start. So chop, chop, because that book that's inside of you is going to be a light in this world. It's time to start writing the book. You might start to realize that. It might be like, go back to school. You were starting to feel it in July. You were starting to feel, I've got to do my master's. And you've been avoiding. And now 6 months later, this full moon in the post-secondary house is just begging you now. It is demanding. It is like hitting you over the head. Here is the application process to the university. It could be something like that. It could be something like that foreigner, that person that's from a foreign country. It's over. Maybe you've been dating a person from a foreign country. It is over now. It is time to break up. And you started to feel it in July. You're like, this isn't working. Well, it's over. Maybe he ghosted you. Or something horrible happened in your relationship and it's over now. So La Luna always illuminates what has come since the 6 months ago in that area of your life. And for you, it's all ninth house stuff. Okay, it's Cancer in your 10th. It's career. It's all career. It's title change. It's father issues. It's father figures. It's like boss energy. So the La Luna is always up there in that dark sky, illuminating all the things we can't see or we're not willing to look at. On the bright side, on the positive side, maybe 6 months ago in July, you were writing in your new moon journal and you knew you wanted that title change from assistant to CEO. I will be the CEO come the full moon cycle in early January or January 2025. Congratulations, you are now the CEO. It could be that title change, or it could be from Ms. to Mrs. Maybe you're getting married. Maybe you're literally getting married right around this full moon, and your title is changing from Ms. to Mrs. Maybe something's going on with your dad. Maybe you've been estranged. Maybe 6 months ago you started to realize, I haven't talked to my dad, and it's time to mend that relationship. Now something's going on with your dad for the better. Maybe your career has completely changed, or you're starting to get to the point in your career where you want to be, because that's all 10th house stuff. On the other hand, the Luna's always illuminating what we're not willing to look at with all the things daddy issues and dad and career and title change. And maybe you're still in that little assistant position and you don't want to be that assistant. And now it's like killing you. And you knew it 6 months ago that it was killing you then, and now it's like literally killing you to go into work and be that assistant that you know you have so much more potential in you to be more than that assistant. And absolutely no offense to any assistants out there. I'm just using that as an example. Maybe you need to work on your daddy issues and it's really come to light now. Maybe you need to end that thing with that boss. Maybe you're having a torrid love affair with your boss at work and it needs to end and it needs to end now. Or maybe something terrible happened in that relationship and it is over. You know, La Luna always illuminates for you. So let's be honest and observe what's going on in the 10th house. Is Cancer in your 11th? Okay, 11th is big hopes, wishes, and dreams. The 11th house represents the future. It's genius energy, it's friendships, it's groups, it's internet, it's the future technology. Okay, so always a full moon illuminates what you can or cannot see in the dark, or it illuminates what's manifested in your life. So maybe you have a whole bunch of great new friends now. You're part of a new friend group. And maybe 6 months ago in July, you were like so sick and tired of the friends you were hanging out with, and you were writing in your new moon journal. And if you don't have one yet, get a link to my new moon journal because I wrote the perfect moon journal for 2025. But say you were writing in your new moon journal in 2025 or in July of 2024, and you're like, my friends suck, and I'm gonna get new friends. And now the Luna is saying, you did it. I heard you. I saw your intentions, and you put your intentions there. Your energy has gone toward the next level of friendships, and you've got them now. Maybe you've joined an online group and it's been transformational for you and you're loving it, and La Luna is illuminating how much this group has helped you. Maybe you've started a new technological something online and La Luna is illuminating how far that technology has come. It doesn't have to be online. It could be anything future thinking. That's 11th house. It's the future. It's hopes, wishes, and dreams. Maybe your biggest hope and wish you put in that journal 6 months ago, and that biggest, greatest, good for all hope, wish, and dream is now here. And La Luna is saying it's here. On the other hand, La Luna illuminates what we are not willing to look at as well, and it needs to end. The Luna will make it end. And that's why so many crazy things happen at a full moon. And a lot of times it's the stuff that you knew, especially 6 months ago, it was lingering. You knew, and now it's like come to a fruition and it is ending. And an example, if Cancer's in your 11th, is like your friends have completely betrayed you now. So 6 months ago, you knew things were going on, didn't feel good at all. And you just like, I'm just not gonna say anything. I don't know how to have that difficult conversation. Now they've all screwed you over. The Luna is saying, look, these friends are not your friends. They're your enemies. You might be getting like a real reality check from La Luna regarding friends and groups. Could be online, could be the friends you see in person. It could be to do with technology. Maybe you started something and the technology is just not good for your overall mental health. Something technological that you started that you knew wasn't working for you. The technology is not good. It needs to end and it is ending. And just remember the 11th house is the future. And if you've been unwilling to look at the future, like something like AI, you know, something like AI, and you're just like, it's the downfall of humanity, and you're just like, that's my belief and I'm sticking to it. And now it's like, maybe you had some kind of a conference at work and you had to go or you were going to get fired. And so you actually learned about AI and you learned like, oh my gosh, this could actually help me. It's like, oh, maybe it's not like the devil at work. So maybe there's something there. regarding future technology that you just need to realize maybe you need to change your mindset about that. So that's all 11th house stuff. And last but not least, does Cancer rule your 12th house? So this is the final house. This is the ending house. And La Luna, whenever the moon is full, it's also the end of a cycle, right? So it's similar energy, full moon and 12th house. They're similar energies, like it's got to end. It is ending. And so the full moon is illuminating, like what have you ended? Maybe you've stopped doing something. 11th, 12th house is also like addiction. So maybe you stopped smoking. Maybe 6 months ago in July, you were writing in that new moon journal going, I have got to stop this nicotine addiction. And maybe you did. And La Luna is illuminating you did it. Golf claps. And that would be like such a 12th house thing because 12th house rules addictions, letting go, letting goddess, quitting and stopping. So anything to do with that. Have you quit, stopped, addictions, anything like that? 12th house also rules things like hospitals and prisons and rehab centers and orphanages. So maybe there's something there. Maybe you've quit a job, maybe you hated the job, and La Luna has like stopped that for you, or saying now you've got this new job, it has ended. You know, it's all things to do with forgiveness. The 12th house is the great forgiveness house. And when you look at any example of forgiveness, really you're forgiving yourself. That is the goal, is to forgive yourself, to let go, let Goddess, just so that you can let it go and you can move on with your life and you're able to get to the next level of your highest self once you have let go of the resentment and the bitterness. So maybe you have, and maybe when you look back in your July journal at the new moon intentions, it's like, I've got to let this go. It's like overtaking my thoughts, it's overtaking my life. And maybe the full moon's illuminating, you did it. You actually have let go, let Goddess. You have forgiven. So there's all those sorts of things that La Luna might illuminate, but in the same breath, La Luna illuminates what we're not willing to look at. And so La Luna stops it. It's the end of the cycle. And maybe, just maybe 6 months ago in July, you were real, I'm drinking too much. Oh, I still hate that person for doing that thing to me. And now it's like you're in full on revenge mode against that person. You hate that person, whatever. La Luna is ending it. You've got to stop the hate. You've got to forgive. It could be something like that. There could be an addictive cycle regarding substance abuse or any kind of addiction that La Luna is saying it needs to stop now. And you might literally be forced to stop in the worst of ways. And there might be, you might end a job at a hospital, orphanage, rehab center. The job might end. And maybe back 6 months ago, you were like, God, I hate this job. It is sucking my will to live. And so the full moon's illuminating, well, it's gone because it's not good for you. And you weren't willing over the last 6 months to, quit or find another job. Now it's over. So it could be a rude awakening from the Luna in that way. But do know that the moon cycles end, right? The moon cycle starts at the new moon and it ends at the full moon 6 months later. And so we always look back to our new moon journals. And if you don't have one yet, I have created the perfect moon journal for 2025 with all the dates and all the manifestation tips and tools for you to see. So please do look for my new moon journal in the bio and in the captions. So the 2025 moon journaling, you learn that you set the intentions at the new moon. And then 6 months later, when that moon is in that same sign, it is illuminating what has or has not manifested. So when you work with the cycles of the moon, you start to realize how the cosmos are helping you and how the astrology is always giving you advice. And you can start to study it with watching videos like this and getting in tune with your natal birth chart, knowing the house placement. We've just gone through the house placement of Cancer in your natal birth chart so that you know what to look for. And especially when it comes to a new moon, you know where to spend your energy in setting intentions in that area of your life. And so we've looked at how these fires in Los Angeles are in connection to this full moon that is on the 13th of January. It is at 23 degrees, which is an out of bounds degree. Whenever the moon is out of bounds, that means it's a wild card. That means the moon doesn't know how to act. And these fires in Los Angeles, they started with a moon in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is in retrograde and it is opposite Pluto. Those are the two great malefics in the skies. They are opposite each other. The moon was in Aries when these fires started. And not to mention, the North Node was at 0 degrees Aries. And in fact, the nodes are moving. Those are moving into Pisces. And I've done a video on what the Pisces Virgo North Node South Node axis is all about. So go back, watch that video so we can know what to expect with that nodal change that's at the same time as this full moon. The fires are raging in Los Angeles when the North Node was at 0 degrees Aries. The moon was in Aries. Mars and Pluto are in opposition. All of the cosmos are coming together to give us a kick in the butt, if you will, so that we know to work on our triggers. I've written a book on how to do shadow work, how to rewire your brain, how to observe our triggers, and to focus on stopping our knee-jerk reactions so that we can reprogram our programs. And I think that the 0 degree Aries mark that I've talked about in that last video that I did on the astrology of 2025 is giving us hints at what we need to work on a personal level so that when we change our world, we can change the world. But first, we need to heal what's going on in our own hearts and souls. And I think this 0 degree Aries mark has given us a lot of training on how we can reach our next level. So I hope this video has served you well. Leave in the comments below what house placement does Cancer fall for you, and did this full moon report resonate for you? And let us know, do you live in the Los Angeles area? Have the fires hit you? Let us know how you're doing. And by all means, if you have any questions about my moon journal of 2025, don't hesitate to ask. This is the moon journal that I always wanted. So I finally wrote it. It is now available for you online, and it will be available on Amazon very soon. By the time you watch this video, I'm sure it'll be already linked up on Amazon, so no worries there. Okay, wishing you all a blessed full moon in Cancer. And until next time, thank you.